What is up, guys? Back here with another video. I'm gonna put my face here. Y'all can't see me. You can't see me. What the heck? Oh, sorry. Okay, not just like that. Oh, y'all see me. You will gonna see me when I'm gonna be like that. Okay. So let's go ahead and start the video. Come on.
It was about 3 in the morning and I was on my way to my job at my local McDonald's to open with one of my...
You heard that. 3 in the morning. Look, hear it again.
It was about 3 in the morning and I was on my way to my job at my local McDonald's to open with one of my favorite managers there with me. She told me to text her when I got there so that she could let me inside. Once I pulled in, I noticed a man standing outside of his car in the farthest corner of the parking lot. He was shooting me this sort of menacing stare.
You see that guy? That right there.
Let me point out that it's completely pouring outside. I was really confused as to why this guy wasn't just sitting in his car. I then parked and texted my manager to let me inside. Seconds later, I noticed her at the door opening it for me. Upon walking up to her, I say my usual good morning. I was stopped mid-sentence by her rushing me inside and saying, "Did you see that guy outside?" I told her yes, and she proceeded to help me refill sauces, napkins, and things like that. My manager then told me that she's going to check the security tapes just to make sure that everything during the period that the restaurant was closed was okay. Minutes later, my manager called me into her office for whatever reason. She told me to look at the screen, and it showed that the same man was standing outside. The time was 12:47. She then fast-forwarded the tape to reveal that the man had been standing outside the entire time up until now. And at this point, it's about 3:50 a.m. I ran to the front lobby and I noticed him still standing over by his car. I figured, or was hoping, that he was probably just on something and he was waiting for us to open so that maybe he could get breakfast. I resumed filling sauces again and making sure everything was in working order, until I was abruptly interrupted by banging at the front door. I walked over and noticed a figure right outside the front door. It was the man. I yelled that we were closed and that he would have to come back later. That didn't seem to faze him as he continued to bang on the door. I walked away, figuring that he was just being an asshole, when suddenly I heard a loud crash. I ran to the lobby to see the glass door broken and the man beginning to step inside. I yelled for my manager and told her that we needed to leave through the back door, and we did just that. We booked into our cars and both called the cops. They arrived in about 15 minutes and came outside the restaurant with a dirty-looking man in cuffs. They said he was hiding in the back janitor's closet with a large knife in his hand. So that's my story, and also the reason I'm never working early mornings again.
Okay, do it again. Let's see this one.
To add a bit of backstory, I was an active duty Marine a year prior to this.
This one. Okay, because we're gonna have him too. Let's see if that's true.
When I was 24 years old, I experienced something so strange, so scary, that I just had to write about it and share it with the world. It is absolutely true and was the scariest thing that has ever happened in my life. I was traveling at the time, going to visit my best friend who had moved a few states away from me to go to college. One neighbor died. I shifted to the side of Ohio, if I remember correctly. I was on a long highway that stretched across the state, when out of nowhere, my car died. I shifted to the side of the road, where I eventually came to a stop. I didn't run out of gas. I had just filled up at the last town. I tried starting my car, and I was very happy when it actually started. I was confused and was worried about why the hell it just died on me. As I started to pick up speed and get back on track, my car started making weird noises. It sounded like something was grinding. This grinding noise. I decided to get off the highway and take a look at it at the gas station. There were only 2 places houses off this exit that I could see, a gas station with one pump, and an old-looking diner not too far off next to it. I pulled into the gas station, and it looked closed. I checked my watch and quickly realized this was strange as hell. It was only 2:30 p.m. What kind of gas station closes before this time? I got out of my car and approached the glass door entrance to the station. I put my hands up and cupped the glass around my eyes to see inside. The place looked abandoned. It was obvious nobody was there, and I turned and looked around me. I felt a bit uneasy at this moment when I saw that no other people or cars were around me. What the hell? Where am I? I checked my phone and of course, I had no service. I looked up at the sky and it was white. The clouds were moving fiercely and it was cold as hell outside. I decided to get back in my car and drive it over to the diner. When I reached this place, I thought for sure it was closed as well. But to my surprise, before I could even reach the door after getting out of my car, an old woman opened the door to the place and greeted me with a smile. She looked nice, and I was so relieved to see somebody else and maybe get some hot food in my stomach. She said hello and asked if it was just me. Did I want a booth? Blah, blah, blah. I told her yes, it was only me, and the booth sounded fine. This diner looked very old-fashioned, and there was no other customers inside. The woman showed me to my seat, and I scooted into the booth. I looked up at her, and she was wearing an old apron with stains all over it. Her teeth were old, cracked, and yellow. She had a pleasant voice, though, and she seemed to be a very nice person. She handed me a menu and asked what I'd like to drink. I told her a Coke or Pepsi would be great, and she smiled and said she'd be right back. I sat there looking at this menu, and there was dirt on it. It looked like it had been sitting outside for years. I cleaned it off, and the food that was on it that was available was very basic. Burger, chicken sandwich, fries, salad. That was pretty much it. I decided to order the burger with some fries. A few minutes passed, and she hadn't returned with my drink yet. I was anxious to ask her if there was a mechanic around that could look at my car. A few more minutes passed, and I started thinking, what the hell is going on back there? I yelled out, "Hello?" in as nice a voice as possible. I got no response. At this point, I was annoyed, and I got up. I walked over to the door that led into the back cooking area and swung it open, about to ask where my drink was. To my surprise, the back of the diner was empty. There was no cooks, no fryers, no grills, nothing. The woman was nowhere in sight. It was obvious that this diner was not a running establishment, and I felt sick to my stomach. I started to walk into the back area when I heard the scariest, most evil, old lady laugh I've ever heard. I stopped and backed up out the door into the front. I turned and walked out the door I came in from. I ran down the 3 steps and over to my car and got inside. Thank God my car started, and I floored it out of there. As I was driving away, I looked into my rearview mirror and saw the woman standing in the middle of the road.
Oh, Halloween story. Scared of me. 2 minutes.
This happened when I was 9 years old. I was just about to turn 10 in a couple of weeks, and my aunt gave me a porcelain doll as an early birthday present.
The doll was wearing a red dress, a red hat, and she was also holding an umbrella.
I absolutely loved the doll for quite some time, and I put it up on my shelf as a decoration. One day, I came home from school and I saw that my doll was laying on the couch in the living room. I got a bit confused as to why it was there, so I asked my mom if she had put it there. She said no, and that my dad must have moved it, but he said that he didn't even go to my room to touch the doll. I started to think that maybe I had moved it, or perhaps I was sleepwalking. I accepted the fact that I must have moved it, and so I grabbed the doll and put it back on the shelf. A couple days later, my mom had to go to the store and my dad was at work. I was home alone sick with a mild fever. My mom would only be gone for an hour, which is why she left me at home. I decided to play with my doll, but as I was going to get it off my shelf, I realized that it wasn't there. Before I was about to go look for it, I heard a thud coming from the attic. At this point, I was a bit creeped out, but I was still brave enough to see what that noise was. I then opened the door to the attic and turned on the light. There, sitting on a box, was my doll. I stood frozen, not knowing what to do. But before I was able to go back down, I saw the doll's head move. I went back down, not saying a word about what had happened to my family. A few years later, we sold the doll at the garage sale. I don't know what happened to the doll after that, but I just hope I don't see it again.
Yeah. That was creepy, wasn't it? It was literally creepy as hell. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. So, subscribe to my channel and follow me on YouTube. One like and subscribe. Okay, guys. Bye, guys.